Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I will share with you how to draft a corset pattern with yoke. This is going to be a beginner friendly and easy to follow tutorial. So the first thing I did, I drew a straight line on my pattern to serve as the starting line, and on that starting line, I placed my tape to mark my chest line 8 inches, my bust line 10 inches, under bust 13 inches. Then I drew a straight line on it to mark the measurement. So I'll go ahead to label the chest line, the bust line, and the under bust line. I'm leaving it at the under bust first. I'll continue later. So the next thing I'll do now, place my tape on that starting line to impute my shoulder measurement. The shoulder measurement is 16. 16 divided by 2 is going to be 8 inches. I divide the measurement by 2 because when you're transferring your pattern to your fabric will be unfold. So I impute my neck width of 4 inches. Then on that shoulder line, I came down by 0.5 inch. Usually we come down by 1 inch for shoulder slope, but since this is going to be a corset, I'm going to use 0.5 inch for my shoulder slope so that my yoke will not be too short when I am joining. Since I have my shoulder slope now, I'll connect my shoulder slope straight to the chest line to create my armhole. After that, I'll place my tape on that armhole depth and look for the midpoint, and I will impute the midpoint and go in at that midpoint by 0.5 inch. After that, I'll place my tape on my chest line and impute my round chest measurement. Now my round chest measurement is my bust divided by 4. After I impute the round chest measurement, I'll connect from the shoulder slope to the 0.5 inch at the midpoint, then from 0.5 inch to the chest line measurement to create my armhole curve. Once that is done, I'll take my dart line. My dart line is my nipple to nipple divided by 2, which will give me 4 inches. Then I'll mark that 4 inches on the chest line, the bust line, and also the under bust. Then I'll draw a straight line to connect it. Once that is done, I'll measure the distance between the neck width and the shoulder, and I'll look for the midpoint, which will give me 2 inches. I'll mark that midpoint and connect from that midpoint down to my dart leg. The next thing I'll do now, I'll place my tape on my shoulder line and come down by 15 inches to take my shoulder to waist measurement. Once that is done, I'll draw a straight line across to mark my waist measurement, just like the other lines. Then I'll connect the dart leg from that under bust down to the waistline. After that, I'll come down by 1 inch and draw a straight line across. That will serve as my sewing allowance. Once that is done, I'll come to the waistline and I'll take 0.5 inch on both sides of the dart line. Then I'll place my tape on a triangular shape and connect that 0.5 inch up to the bust line. After that is done, I'll measure the distance between the bust and the under bust. That will give me 3 inches. Then I'll place my tape on the dart line and measure 3 inches all around to create a perfect circle. Now, as you can see, I'm using pencil to do this circle. So you don't have to use marker or anything you can't clean. So that when you make a mistake in creating your perfect circle, you can clean and redo it to make sure that you achieve what you want. Now that our circle is ready, I'll place my tape 0.5 inch away from the first dart that I did at the under bust. I'll place my tape 0.5 inch on the other side too. Then I'll connect it straight to the 0.5 inch at the waistline. So I'm going to use my marker now to connect it so that we'll see that line properly, so that we'll understand what we are doing. The next thing I'll do now, I'll come to the chest line and come down by 0.5 inch. Then at that 0.5 inch, I'll go in by 0.5 inch. Then I'll connect it. After that, I'll come to the armhole and look for the midpoint in between the armhole curve. Then I'll mark it. Once that is done, I'll place my French curve and connect from that under bust dart line to the 0.5 inch I came in below the chest line. I am doing this in order to create my bust curve. Just watch what I'm doing step by step, and if you follow the same step, you achieve the same result. So I'll place the French curve on the other side also and connect from the under bust dart to the midpoint at the armhole. After that is done, I'll come down by 1 inch from the bust line. Then I'll connect from that 1 inch down to the under bust, creating a curve. Once that is done, I'll come to the other side and also create a curve. Once that is done, I'll come to the circle above the chest line, and towards the armhole, I'll mark 1 inch, and towards the center front, I'll mark 0.5 inch. In order for my cup to be firm on my chest when I'm done with my corset, I will go in by 1/4 of an inch on each side of the allowance I took. After that, I'll come down by 1 inch from the chest line and connect to that allowance to create a curve. Once that is done, I'll connect the dart leg to the 0.5 inch I came down at the chest line. Also connect the dart leg from this other side down to the midpoint I marked at the armhole. The next thing I'll do now is to impute my round bodice measurement. My round bodice measurement at the chest line is 8.75. I've marked that already on the chest line. So I'll take the dart allowance I took, which is approximately 2 inches. Then I'll replace it on the armhole and also on the bust line. Then I'll come to the waistline and impute the round waist measurement, which is the waist divided by 4. Then I'll also measure out the dart allowance I took, which is 2 inches. Then I'll replace the dart allowance of 2 inches on the waistline. Then I'll add 1 inch sewing allowance. I would advise you use 2 inches sewing allowance. Then I'll connect from the sewing allowance down to the waistline. So I noticed after connecting, I realized that I just connected from the actual measurement. I didn't add the allowance, so I tried to connect it back from the waist up to the allowance I took so that my pattern will not be short. After that, I'll take my round neck measurement. So I decided to use 3 inches round neck. Then I'll connect from that 3 inches up to my neck width. So the next thing I'll do now is to create my yoke. So I'll connect this dart this way, just what I'm doing. I'll connect it this way. Then this part above that line I connected just now is our yoke. So I'll cross out this part that I'm going to cut out, the dart allowance I took that I'm going to cut out. Then this upper part is our yoke. So that's all for our 2-part corset with yoke. So the next thing I'll do now is to cut for you to see what it looks like after cutting.
In my veins, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes, taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great, popping off.
So this is what it looks like after cutting. The next thing I'll do now is to cut a back bodice for this our corset. So in order to draft the back bodice, I'll first of all take a zipper allowance. I'll take a zipper allowance of 1 inch, then I'll draw a straight line. So any measurement I may take now, it will be from the zipper allowance. So I'll impute my shoulder measurement of 8 inches. Then I'll take my neck width of 4 inches, the same with the front neck width. Then on my shoulder line, I'll come down by 0.5 inch and connect from that 0.5 inch to my neck width. After that, I will impute my chest line measurement, which is 8 inches, my bust 10 inches, then my waist measurement 15 inches with 1 inch sewing allowance. Then I'll draw a straight line across to mark my measurements. Once that is done, I'll place the tape across the chest line to mark the 8 inches that will connect to the shoulder in order to achieve a straight line. In order to create my armhole, I'll place my tape on my chest line to get my chest line measurement, which is my bust divided by 4. Then I'll mark it. Then I'll place the tape on my armhole line now and look for the midpoint and connect from that midpoint down to my chest line measurement to create a armhole curve. After that is done, the next thing I'll do is to impute my dart. I'll divide my nipple to nipple measurement by 2, which will give me 4 inches. I'll mark it on the chest line down to the sewing allowance. I'll take 0.5 inch on each side of the dart line on the waistline and also sewing allowance. Then I'll extend this dart line up to the chest line. Then from the chest line, I'll come down by 1 inch. Then I'll connect this 0.5 inch on both sides up to the 1 inch. After that, I'll impute my round bodice measurement, which is the bust divided by 4. Then I'll come to the waist also and impute the waist measurement, the waist divided by 4. Then I'll replace the dart allowance I took and also add the sewing allowance. Then I'll connect all my measurements. Just in case it's a loop you want to use, you at your chest line you go out by 1.5 inch, then at the waistline you go out by 1 inch, then you connect it. That means there will be no need for you to use a zipper allowance if you want to use a loop. So for our yoke, I will go up by 1 inch on the armhole, then I will connect from that chest line that way. I'll just create a slant just the way you see me doing it. I'll connect from that 1 inch down to my chest line this way. So now to create a neckline for my back bodice, I'll come down by 1.5 inch and connect from the neck width down to the 1.5 inch to create my neckline. So the next thing I'll do now is to cut. As you can see, I've cut out the excess around the pattern, and the next thing I'm doing now is to cut out the yoke, then also cut out the other side. So let me show you what it looks like after cutting. This is what it looks like after cutting. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more. See you in my next video.